Hey PC Gamers, and welcome back to the PC Gamer Chat Log. I'm Lauren Morton, and I'm here with Molly Taylor.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
This week, Molly and I are going to be talking about some of the hidden gems, games you may not have seen this year, may have missed hearing about amidst all of the other big stuff. We have some decent recommendations from the whole team, actually. We've pulled together a former piece that a lot of people contributed to, so we have some recommendations from across the team to talk through, not just fighting games and cozy games. We will give you a little bit of variety. It won't be just Molly and I's specialties. We have some other cool stuff for you as well. But before we get into that, Molly, what did you do last week? I know you didn't play many video games last week.
I did not. I had a very video game free
Again.
I know, right? I was about to say, can you believe it? But at this point, I feel like yes, it's very believable for me to have a game free week. I was at a music festival this week. I was at Download Festival in the UK, which is like a big rock and music festival. Rock and music, yes, rock and music. A big rock and metal festival. It was my first festival as well. So I was like, yeah, so that was really fun. Camping sucks though. I don't know why anyone does that for a hobby. Like it was fine after like a couple of days.
It was worth
it. it was worth it, but also, oh my god, like I run very cold anyway. So when the nights are super cold, I'm just like huddled up in like 5 different layers, trying my best to like not be grumpy. And then because there was like no internet either. There's like practically no internet, so I couldn't even play Honkai.
You were gone. Oh no!
Yeah, I couldn't even play Honkai on my phone. I was like totally off the grid. I went to like a portaloo, like a porta potty at one point, and I managed to get like the slightest bit of internet signal. So I just sat in this porta potty that had been like right in the baking hot sun. So it was like like a death chamber. It was so hot in there, and I just sat in there and like played Honkai for like 10 minutes just to try and like do something in that game before I had to
shameful behavior, Molly.
Truly shameful behavior. Sat in this disgusting portable toilet trying to just play a little bit of my waifu simulator. The brain rot is like so real. It's
you poor woman.
I know but it was nice. It also meant that I missed a lot of the E3 stuff.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like slowly, well, the not E3 stuff. I am slowly catching up with the things that I missed, seeing some of the cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to catching up completely and maybe having a little discussion about that. Maybe.
Yeah. we are going to get into that next week, in fact. Yes. Talking about all of the announcements stuff we saw. After we get a chance to debrief ourselves a little bit, then we will bring some roundup together in a discussion, because you are wiped from camping. I am wiped from being right here in this very spot. As of recording, it is day 9 of being right here in a row. There will be a few more days. I think by the time people listen to this, it will be day 11 of being right here watching showcases and stuff. But anyway, I did actually do a little bit of gaming outside of that. I did play some Diablo. And then I turned on Lakeburg Legacies, actually. It was the night of the Wholesome Showcase. This city builder, city sim that's also like a dating sim. It's not like they say dating sim, and I think like people management is maybe more accurate, because it's not like if you go into it expecting like a whole dating sim element, it's not quite there. There's like a little bit of like choosing correct options, but it's not like whole go on date simulator. But it was like Saturday night after the Wholesome Showcase that I was like looking at all the demos that came out after all of that. and I decided to download like Berg Legacies, and I spent a while playing that evening, which was good fun. I enjoyed it. It's I love the art style. I like the premise. It sort of hits me a little bit like Crusader Kings 3
Mm-hmm.
of all things, because if you get really into the dynasty management stuff of Crusader Kings, like, yeah, you go to war too, but also you're just like managing giant panels of information and like all of your people and their likes and dislikes and trying to set them up with each other and like figure out bloodlines and stuff. And that's kind of what this is.
Mm-hmm.
You're like assigning people to like particular jobs. We're also trying to match them up with people who share their interests, but also have good stats so you can produce new kids to grow your village or recruit people. And it was good fun. The first child that my village produced, though, was ugly. Like, that was one of its traits. It was an ugly child. I was like, oh, great. This is not very auspicious. And I have uh, two couples who have like one person, like they have a crush on each other outside,
Oh,
an intermarital crush, but they are still like infatuated and in love with their like their partners that I've partnered them up
oh,
with. They just sort of have like a little crush on each other on the side, so I'm like, I guess that's fine. As long
I love the
as,
drama. I
yeah.
keep meaning to play it because it's like you literally just make them have babies, right? You like put them together and you're like, okay, make a child.
Pretty much, yeah. And like you move people around to like assign them. Like, you've got to have the person with the best strength has to be the one at the woodcutter, and you like slowly are unlocking more types of resources. You have to have like you have to like expand your farming operation to get wheat in order to make like have a place that does bread and all of this stuff. So it's very management y, but also very and now kiss so as well.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Like, how far are you in Diablo as well at this point? Are you pretty far now?
Um, no, not as far as you would think. As I said, I split my time a little bit between friends and also showcase stuff kept me busy. So I didn't play that much Diablo this last week. And as we know, I am slow because I like to go
You're an
unlock all this
enjoyer.
stuff. I'm an enjoyer. I'm savoring
Yeah.
the experience of uh, hoovering and slashing, right? So
Mhm.
that's the official genre for me. It's not hacking and slashing; it's hoovering and slashing. Um, yeah, so not as far in Diablo as you would hope, unfortunately, but that's okay. I'm getting through it.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, now Molly, we can switch over to talking about games you haven't heard of. I have the feeling people have heard of Diablo, so we'll get into some things that have launched and released in 2023 that you might have missed. Yeah. Okay, Molly. So you and me are here to talk about the hidden gems of this year because we cover so much on the site on
Yeah.
pcgamer.com. And I think a lot of people see us covering big games and maybe don't always realize how often we're also covering games that you may not have heard of,
Yeah.
and reviewing them too. Sometimes we don't get a chance to do a full review of something smaller, but a lot of the things on this list actually have scored reviews on the site, and we're going to bring up some ones that have scored really well,
Yeah.
despite being ones that you may not have heard of or you may have missed this year between like some of the bigger releases that came out. I think we have some smaller ones as well
Yes.
from like the end of last year. And sort of where we're jumping off from is we did actually have a piece on the site that several of us contributed to. I think it was like the eight overlooked games from this year.
Mhm.
And we like sort of loosely used, I think, Steam reviews as a guideline for something being known or not very well known, which is not like a perfect metric, but we
Yeah.
tend to think that like if something has fewer than like 2,000 user reviews on Steam, like it's something that maybe you haven't heard of. Even if it's like in a genre you usually play, it's possible you missed it and it's something you would want to know about. So we're sort of looking at things at or below that. There may be a couple that trend like slightly higher, but for the most part, stuff that's a little lesser known. Do you have a favorite pick of hidden gems for yourself that you've played so far this year?
Yeah, so I wrote a little entry for Dredge in
Mm-hmm.
the Overlooked Games piece that we did. But I think I've championed that enough, first of all.
Yeah.
They've had more than enough good good reviews from me, and also they've got like 11,000 Steam reviews at this
Oh,
point.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, which is like very impressive for an indie game. You know, I think it helps they had like Team 17 behind them
Hmm.
as well, but they're a very excellent team. But I wouldn't consider that a hidden gem anymore. That has
Yeah, not
surpassed.
anymore, huh?
Yeah, that's a semi-visible gem, right? That's like half of it is like poking out, and you could be like, "Oh, I could see that over there, just a little
That is
bit,"
a
right?
gem that has a quest marker over it, so that you
Yes.
aren't going to miss it. In fact, it's going to draw your eye.
It's right there. Yeah, so that one has been championed enough from me and 10,000 other people. So my favorite one apart from that so far has to be this game called Rhythm Sprout. Um
Which I've never heard of.
oh, I love this game. This just fell into my inbox from like PR, I think,
Hmm.
earlier this year. And I'm a sucker for a rhythm game, as we all
Yeah.
know. I love a good rhythm game. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cute. It's like you play as like a literal onion knight. Like it's an onion
Aw.
with a little sword. And he has like a little tracksuit on as well. He's like a little tracksuit wearing onion. He's really cute. And you have to, it's kind of like overcooked in its like style. Uh,
Hmm.
and then it's kind of, it's quite humorous. It's very tongue in cheek. Uh, it feels like a little. I'm not sure if the developer's British or not, but the humor felt quite British. But it's like it's
Yeah.
funny. It plays really well. It's like easy enough that if you're new to rhythm games, you'll pick it up pretty quickly. But this like the score ceiling is like very high. Like to 3-star a song, you have to be near perfect with your like accuracy. So it's kind of got that little bit of skill to it as well. And the songs genuinely bang. They're so good.
Yeah.
I love the music in that game. Like the songs are still stuck in my head. I haven't played it for a couple months and the songs are like still like wormed into my brain because they're so good. I made all of my friends buy it. They all had a really good time of it as well. So yeah, that I think that one's
What
been
what kind of music is it? Did you say?
it's like a little mixture of everything. So there's like
Yeah.
a sort of like video gamey sounding, which sounds stupid that it's video gamey sounding music in a video game.
There are certain types of melodies that feel gamey. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It feels like it's like kind of like 8-bitty, but then it comes in
Okay.
with like these like little guitar riffs. So it's
Ooh.
I can't even begin to explain how it sounds, but they
Hmm.
pull from like loads of different genres. So you've got kind of like dancey, and then you've got like a K-pop style song, and then you've got like rock. There's like a whole blend of genres. I love this game. I really, really love this game. It's like really pretty looking as well. And I would 100% recommend it. Like I said, I made all my friends buy it. So, and there's a little something for everyone in there. Those are some good beats, some very,
Yeah.
very good beats in that game. So I think that's my favorite one so far. And also shout out to like one of my favorite Flash games ever that got put on Steam earlier this year for the
Which
first
one?
time. There's this series of Flash games. They're called like the Papa Louie Flash
The
games.
what?
The Papa Louie. So they're like these little like the food games where you get an order and you have to like make the food, and then I don't know what you'd call
Yeah.
that. Like a restaurant like sim
Sim.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
They did a butt ton of these. I think I forget what the developers called, like Flip Studios. I forget what they're called. I'm so sorry. The name eludes me. But they made like pizza, burgers, sushi, ice cream, tacos. There was like if there's a food like a Papa Louie game exists for it. I think it's Flipline Studios. I think that's their name. And they put Papa's Freezeria, which is the ice cream one. They put Papa's Freezeria on Steam like 2 months ago for the first time. Like, it's the first Papa's game to make it to Steam. They put them like on mobile a lot these days,
Mhm.
but I think a few of them might have died a death when Flash died. But yeah, oh my god, I love it. I love that game.
That sounds like I know you said it's a Flash game, but it sounds like some of those like older series of games that like just have infinitely long variants from like I feel like this is a 2003 thing, like a game
Yes.
series that just will not end. And you're like, how many are they gonna do?
And they just come up with more somehow, and they're
Yeah.
always like so much fun. I remember playing these like in like my like ICT lessons at school, because you could just open it up on your browser, right? And
Mhm.
it was right there. It's one of the games of my childhood. So I don't know how many people know that it came to Steam this year, but it did. Freezeria did anyway.
Nice.
So yeah. Those are mine. Rhythm Sprout, big shout out to Rhythm Sprout, but Papa's Freezeria Deluxe as well gets a little mention from me. So how about you, Lauren? Because I always come with like three options, and you're just gonna pick one. Because
I'm just decisive.
yeah, you're just
I
decisive.
I had the opposite effect of you with Dredge, where in my little corner of like cozy gaming, I was like, oh, Roots of Pacha is so known. Everybody is aware that this is
Mhm.
like the best farm sim in a hot minute. And then I looked at Steam and I was like, I think it has about 2,000 Steam user reviews or maybe less,
Oh
which again,
wow.
not a perfect metric, but I was like, oh, maybe it's not, maybe it's like really well known in my little like circle, but like not super well known generally. So I was like, oh, I guess maybe I need to recommend this officially again then, because Roots of Pacha is it's keeps getting pitched as Stone Age Stardew, which is like pretty accurate in my opinion. It's a farm sim where you are like discovering crops for the first time and inventing technologies, and but it has a cadence and a style, like art style, music style, like very, I don't want to say derivative of Stardew, but it is, and I don't think in a bad way. I think we haven't had something that is as close to Stardew directly as this in a quite a while. A lot of things hopped on the farm life sim bandwagon generally and tried to differentiate themselves over the last however many years since Stardew launched, or they hearken further back to Harvest Moon proper, to Stardew's own inspirations, or they go the 3D route instead of pixel art. But this is just like a Stardew love letter in the way that Stardew was a Harvest Moon love letter, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's super fun. I'm still in my first year. It has, you know, I think I was joking with you, Molly. We talked about Stardew spouse picks, and you admitted that you're a Shane girl, right?
Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
the romance option for the Shane girls, like specifically in my opinion. Except he's like, oh my gosh, what is his name? I don't remember because I'm not choosing him, but uh,
Shameful. How could
I'm
you?
sorry. He's very smart and shy, and he's like his everybody in the clan has like a job. Like some of them like deal with tools, and that's how you do tool upgrades. Others is like one of them is a cook, one of them is a musician, and his job is thinker. That's his job, which is goofy, but it's sort of I guess implied that he's helping come up with a lot of these inventions. Like some of the like little friendship scenes you get with him are him like figuring out how levers work, like the technology
Aw.
levers, right? Like to lift things. And you're like, oh, look at you. I'm so proud of you.
Okay,
Um,
that's super cute.
but he's initially kind of standoffish and I can't figure out what present he likes. I've found out several
Yes.
things that he is okay with, but nothing that he likes. He's
Yeah.
stumping me and I'm a little bit annoyed with him. Um, but yeah, it's anyway, generally really great fun farm sim. You can also tame animals and ride them and collect different colors of like ostrich and mammoth and
Oh my
all
god.
things. It's so fun. I love it.
Yeah, I
So
love that, because you've talked about Roots of Pacha quite a lot on like on the
yeah,
podcast.
so I thought like, oh, everybody knows and I should shut up about Roots of Pacha, but it turns out no, I shouldn't shut up about
No,
it.
don't shut up about Roots of Pacha, because
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like genuinely amazing. It sounds like so much fun. And now you've told me there's a Shane character. There's a
I think he's the
standoffish
Shane.
guy that will
Yeah.
slowly open up to me the more I just
Mhm.
like invade his personal space.
Yep.
Beautiful. Chef's
It's
kiss. Just
just for
exactly what I
you.
want out of my fictional men.
So aside from the ones that we have picked, it's just the two of us here today. But we did pull together some of the things that have reviewed really highly on PC Gamer
Yes.
that were maybe a little bit overlooked, even though we have a review up on the site for them. One of them is Hrot, Hrot. How am I meant to say it? Hrot.
Rot?
Hrot, Hrot. Anyway, it's a like it's. I guess people have been referring to these as boomer shooters, right? Just meaning
Yes.
that, which is like inaccurate on multiple levels, hilariously. But it's an
It sounds
FPS that
good.
harkens to the like '90s era, right?
Yeah.
Yes, boomer shooter just sounds good to
It,
say,
it
so
it's
that's
got
why
it's
I
got
picked.
such a like I don't know, it tickles my brain in a good way. I know there was some discourse, right, over like the use of the term boomer shooter. I know some
And
people weren't
among
happy about
us,
it.
like we have started this fight in Slack before about
Yeah,
boomer shooters.
we have actually. Yeah, we have. I know some people aren't like a huge fan of the name, but it sounds good. So unless somebody comes up with something that sounds
Come up with
better,
something snappy that sounds
yeah,
good, that's
then
fun to
boomer
say.
shooter it is.
It needs that rhymey quality. But HROT got an 87% review from
Yeah.
Ted. Ted Litchfield did the review for us, our on the US side, and really enjoyed it. It is not what I expected it to be at all. It's I guess it kind of reminds me of like GoldenEye on the N64, like visually.
Mm.
Um, but it's totally different than that. Let's see. I have the review hanging around here somewhere. Oh no, I don't.
I
Hold
see what you
on.
mean about the GoldenEye vibes. I'm just like I'm checking out a couple screenshots
Checking at the
now.
UI. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like that's perhaps because it's one of my only frames of reference that I have for the for these things. But no,
Yeah.
I totally see it. I see exactly what you mean.
And in his review, Ted speaks really highly of the level design and like some of the gimmicks that are in this thing. He calls it a Soviet core boomer shooter, so like that's the vibe that you've got. But
It's a very Ted
yeah,
thing to say.
it is a very Ted thing to say. The whole review, by the way, you should go read the review for HROT on PCGamer.com. That whole review is a very Ted thing to say. I read it earlier this morning and really enjoyed it. He speaks really highly of the level design, though, and like some of the neat gimmicks and the gags. I think he was not as impressed by the ending potentially, but I think he said everything leading up to it was just like very clever and fun and interesting. So that's one of the ones that's done really well, or I guess it should do better actually.
Yeah.
Roots of Pacha also scored highly. I did not review it myself, but it got an 88% review. Firmament is one that I had not paid a ton of attention to myself, but that's the new Cyan game, the Myst folks, right? So a
Oh,
first-person
yes, of
puzzly
course.
adventure bit. And I'll
Yes.
admit, I don't know a lot about Firmament, but I was surprised to see that it doesn't actually have as many user reviews as I would expect for like a Cyan game, right?
Oh wow.
Or
Okay.
for a Myst game.
Yeah.
Like, did everybody know that a that a new Myst like game came out this year? That was, and granted, that was only last month. That was in the middle of May, so maybe it just hasn't had time to pick up yet. A lot's been going on, but I think that's one people should be aware of for sure. And then did you see Deceive Inc? That was in
I
our
did.
8 overlooked games, and I don't remember who wrote the entry for
Maybe Morgan.
that.
I know Morgan has been
Morgan.
like really hot on this game.
Mm-hmm. And this one got an 82% review on the site. That was by one of our freelancers, Russell Adderson. And but yeah, Morgan has been speaking highly of it. It's like a hero shooter prop hunt extraction game, right? Because
Yes.
you're like turning into objects. You are hiding, trying to suss out other players, but also extract with the like the mission goal, right? That's the whole thing in
Mhm.
Deceive Inc.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It's another one of those that I keep meaning to to check out, but I've just not gone around to it yet, right? But I know Morgan was speaking really high of it. I know Jeremy Peel, someone who used to do a lot of writing for us, he was like very, very positive about it as well when like the reviews were first coming out. A lot of people
Mhm.
have been super hot on this game. And I really need to check it out before it like potentially falls to like the games as a service curse and
Yeah.
dwindles off the edge of the map. I really need to check it out because it sounds right up my alley as well. I'm not a huge like multiplayer shooter person, but I really like kind of gimmicky ones or like hero shooters. I am really into that. So I need to check it out.
I don't do FPS stuff very often at all, and I definitely don't do like competitive PvP FPS stuff. But one thing I have said is the way that I used to play PUBG back when it was having its heyday was I like the stealth, the PvP stealth. Everybody else out here is like good with a sniper rifle, and I am just like, I want to get in your brain, I want to go through the bushes, I want to pay attention to who's where. Like that's what I enjoy. So Deceive Inc. I like actually I really should be trying this out based on everything we've said about it. Is I love a little bit of PvP stealthing. And yeah, it's like especially the prop hunt bit. I love turning into objects. That's good fun. Another one is Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened, which again, I was very surprised that this one doesn't have as many user reviews on Steam as I was anticipating. This is a Frogwares game. Frogwares has done quite a few of these Sherlock Holmes games, right? And we've reviewed all of them, I think, pretty highly. I was just looking up the scores this morning and I don't remember all of them offhand, but I think they might have all been over 80%, which is like
Oh wow.
quite good for us.
Yeah.
And Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened was an 80 flat, which is still like that is good. That is like a really good recommendation based on our scoring criteria. Robin Valentine did that for us,
Mm.
our own on the UK side, who has been here on the podcast with us before. And yeah, just like spoke really highly of it, thought it was great. I think said it was a little bit on the shorter end, but just like another good one of these. And I have never played one of these Frogware Sherlock games. Have
Neither
you?
have I.
Why? These are
What
also
are
like
we?
they should
What are
be
we
my
doing?
thing. What games are we even playing, Molly? Hello? Like thank goodness we have a whole team of people play
Fake
different stuff.
gamers, clearly. Like, are we
There's not
even
enough
playing games?
time. There's not enough time to play all the games.
Nope.
That's why there are so many of us. But yeah, so you've not played one either.
No, I haven't, but I really should because I do like stuff like that. I like silly little detective games, you know. My
I'm just a
silly
little
little
guy.
detective games. And Professor Layton's never going to be on on PC, right? So Sherlock Holmes is like the next best thing. He's a British detective. Yeah.
I if I start with any of these, I feel like I do need to go back and do Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. I think was the official name for that one, which I
That's what they
cannot.
called it.
Yeah, it had a silly, very generic name in my opinion, but and I can't help but think of it as Gerard Way as Sherlock Holmes. It was very much like Sherlock Holmes, like young boy band era
Oh my
origin story.
god.
If you never saw the trailer for that thing, you should go look up Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 trailer, and it has some vibes, I guess. I don't know if I could describe them to you with other than just saying Gerard Way, Helena era. Um,
It automatically makes so much sense to me. Yeah.
you can picture the hair, right? Except
Yeah,
I think he's a
I could
little
just
more
immediately get an idea.
clean cut than the messy punk vibe of Jared Way. But
Mhm.
anyway, I need to play a Frogware Sherlock Holmes game. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, that's a consensus here.
Another good one is Terra Nil, which came out
Oh,
in March of
yeah.
this year. That's another 80% review from us. This was a reverse city builder. And I know Chris Livingston, our own Chris Livingston on the US side, spoke really highly of this, I think from like a demo
Yes.
before it came out potentially. Um, and I didn't look into this one super heavily. I just know it involves like revitalizing biomes, right? It's like you're like terraforming a planet maybe after a I don't know, correct me.
It's very pretty looking.
Yeah.
This is like another one of those games that I heard a lot about and then was like, that sounds really, really cool. And then just found no time to
That'll
play
happen.
it.
But Chris is our city builders man, and I
Yes.
know he really enjoyed it. So that is another one that got, I think, less traction than expected. And I guess while we're talking about games that Chris loved, Chia,
Yeah.
Tchia, Chia,
Yes.
um, he reviewed that one himself and gave it a 90, which is big for us as well. That came out in March, and it's like this open world exploration. Like he talked about it so much, and I've retained so little other than just sort of what it looks like. But
Mhm.
he thought it was amazing. One of the best open world games in years is what he said, which like high bar. I believe him.
Yeah, genuinely. I've never seen like cuz I think Chris Chris likes a lot of games anyway. Chris is like so
Yeah.
good at seeing the beauty in games even where like other people might not see, right? Chris is very good about appreciating the good in every game that he plays, but I have never seen him like talk so like passionately about one of the games that he's played more than the way he spoke about Chia. Like he was always dropping in little screenshots. He was always talking about it in the work Slack, wasn't he? Like he had a
He
lot good
did
to
an
say.
enormous guide to this like huge treasure hunting quest that takes place like across this entire game. I think I looked at it for him at one point as he was getting ready to publish it, and I was like, "Oh my word. I can't believe you did all of this." He felt so passionately about this game. I think in his review he like compares it to Sea of Thieves in an art style. And I think, yeah, that's how he described the treasure hunting quest initially, was it's better than Red Dead Redemption 2's treasure hunting
Oh my god.
quest. Like open world exploration of like Far Cry 3, but with Breath of the Wild's glider. Yeah, he really enjoyed it. I know it's inspired by New Caledonia, I think.
Oh.
Um, culturally. So and it's really pretty. It's just, I think, a game that loves exploration. High recommendation from Chris. Let's see. What else do we have? Do you have any other ones, Molly, that you played this year? We just talked a lot about a lot of stuff that other people played, and we
Yeah.
actually have
That
not
we didn't
played
get the
yet.
chance
We didn't get
to.
the chance to. Do you have some other ones that you have gotten the chance to play that you would recommend really highly?
Yeah, so we spoke about this a little bit before before we came to record this, right? And we both pointed out that like a lot of the ones that we were going to recommend were ones that came out like right at the end of 2022 as well, right? Like
Yeah.
November, December 2022. Because my first recommendation was going to be Melatonin as one that I
Hmm.
really enjoyed. It's like rhythm heaven, like a sleepy rhythm heaven. So, you know, it's very like intuitive in the way that you have to respond to the rhythm of it. So there's like a level, you know, where you're like swiping a credit card and you have to,
Yeah.
you know, it's like a call and response kind of rhythm game. But it's like super pretty. I think I spoke about it in our indie episode of the podcast.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's like super pretty, super like purpley and pastel, very like dreamy looking because it's all about, you know, like sleepy dream stuff.
Oh,
Um
when we were talking about cozy games, that's when you brought
yeah,
it up.
that's it. When we talk about
Cozy games
cozy
episode.
games.
Hmm.
I say I knew I'd spoken about it at some point on the podcast. So yeah, I that's so even though that's a 2022 game, I will say that
Hmm.
that is one that I really enjoyed. Also I have become like fixated on there's a series of games. It's just like I commissioned some. dot dot dot, and then it's like, I commissioned some bees, I commissioned some cats, I commissioned some bunnies, and it's just this developer that like commissions a bunch of artists to create hidden object levels
Mhm.
centered around like different animals. So like, I commissioned some bunnies was the first one I played, and it's just like tons of different like where's Waldo, where's Wally? I forget which one. One of them is UK, one of them is US. Like
Yeah.
usually like where's Wally, where's Waldo style of like big painting, and then there's all these like you just gotta find all the little bunnies and the carrots. But the art is like super pretty. The art's gorgeous, and
Mhm.
because it's like different artists doing like a handful of each of the levels, you get like a nice broad variety of art as well, which is like really nice. I'm a sucker for good art, for like pretty art. So
Mhm.
I've been really enjoying that as well. And they're really
Nice.
cheap. They're like a couple of bucks max. That's it. So yeah, I've really enjoyed those as well. Um A Space for the Unbound is one that I started playing and I really need to finish it. It's a very like it's a very nice story. It's very pretty. It's like a 2D like side scroll. It's I wouldn't call it, it's not a visual novel. I forget what you would call it. But it's very pretty. And I was also surprised to see that that did not have a lot of people that had played it. So yeah.
Mhm.
I commissioned some dot dot dot. The I commissioned series, Melatonin, Space for the Unbound, Ritmos was another one. Again, a bloody rhythm game. Well, it was like
You might
rhythm.
have a thing.
Yeah, I might have like a little thing. Well, I say it was rhythm. It was like music puzzling. So it was like these little cubes, and you would have to do puzzles around these little cubes to get like all of the little musical tones playing. Again, very like brief, very short game. But I like a puzzler. I like music stuff. I like pretty art kind of things. And that was another one that I really enjoyed for the few hours that it afforded me. Yeah, I think those are my little hidden gems for the year for sure. How about you? What other ones have you played that you really liked?
Yeah, so I had another one that came out in like December 2022, which we just sort of like decided just like, it counts.
It's close
There's
enough.
it's very easy to miss games coming out in December. We're all very busy during December during
Yes.
doing like year-end stuff, doing game of the year type stuff, recovering from like Black Friday type stuff. It's always a
Yes.
very busy time of year for us. So it's very easy to miss things that come out in December. And so I put together a list earlier this year of like cozy city builders. I sort of like
Oh yeah.
um, Venn diagrammed myself into Chris's territory. I like took my cozy games and I was like, I'm gonna snatch some city builders from you, and put together a short list of those. Some of which are in early access. One is something that we're still sort of looking forward to, Tiny Glade, the one that's very like, which is not even what I'm talking about. I'm just going off on a tangent.
No,
Tiny
do
Glade
it.
is not out yet. It's a cozy little builder game that's sort of, I think, has vibes of Townscaper in that like you don't, there's not a goal, you don't do anything, you're just building and
Yeah.
watching how the pieces change, and they're like these sort of like old castles in like forests type vibe. Like it looks super cute. Can't wait for that one. But on that list also, I put something called Garden Galaxy, which came out at the end of December. And oh my goodness, this is, oh, how would I describe it? It's like an idle game, except I could not manage to idle it. I kept just actively playing this game for it took an entire evening from me while I was working on this list. Suddenly I had played 3 hours just
Oh my god.
working with this little idle game called Garden Galaxy. And I think I was even playing on the demo version. I wasn't even on the full version at that point, but it's tile based in 3D. You have all these little squares and you start with this tiny sort of like white void-ish type thing, and you have a little like pot, this ceramic pot, and you put coins into the pot, and out of the pot, in exchange for your coin, pops a piece of decoration or a piece of terrain. There are many types of terrain. There's grass, there's water, there's paths, there's slopes. There's many types of decoration. Some of them will like change the time of day. Some of them are fountains. Some of them are just cute little pieces of furniture. And literally what you do is put coins into the pot. Sometimes they're different. Sometimes they're a water coin, so it guarantees a water item of some kind.
Oh.
Sometimes it's a grass coin. Sometimes it's whatever. You get like special little buff items that are like altars where you can place something and you're like, I don't want any of these pieces. Give me no more of this. So what I do is I get that altar and I take one of the like white void terrain pieces and I put it there. I'm like, no white voids for me. I only want grass terrain. Give me grass terrain. And you're just moving the terrain pieces around, moving the decor around. You're decorating your weird little space. And it's like very cute, highly enjoyable. And I literally couldn't stop playing it. I felt so stupid. I was like, this is supposed to be an idle game, because I think you like click on little fires around. I think that's what you do. You click on all these little fires. It's been a minute since I played, and like that's when you get coins that you can put in the pot. Anyway, for the decorators out there, it's not even a city builder. I said I put this on a list of city builders, and it was kind of a right angle from city builders, even, because you're just building this little garden area. Beware of that one. Beware. It's you might not be idle while playing it. You might accidentally just keep playing it.
Lose
Forever.
3 hours to it.
Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun. I really want to play that. You do such a good job of selling games to me. You're like, oh yeah, this game is like this, and I'm like, that sounds like the best thing ever.
Meanwhile, we've been
my wallet would cry around you if you like. You need to stop.
My wallet cries around me.
Yeah, you need to stop selling me all these games, because.
Meanwhile, we've talked about like all of these like bigger games, like, oh yeah, Sherlock Holmes, like, oh, Deceive Inc., the like prop hunt shooter, like Chia, Terra Nil, all these things. And I'm like, I like this little game where you just click on things and then you move them around. That's the game I really enjoyed. That's
The one.
That was the one. That and Roots of Pacha. Do you have anything that you haven't gotten to play yet that came out this year, like hidden stuff that you'd like to still, other than all the other ones we already mentioned? But
I was gonna say, because I need to play Roots of Pacha. For how much you like talk about it and root for it, I have to play it, because you do make it sound very good, and I love Stardew. I'm a huge like Stardew person. I'm not normally the type of person to buy games on multiple platforms, but I own Stardew on like every platform basically, except my phone.
Yep.
I have bought that game like so many times at this point, and not just for me, for other people as well. So Roots of Pacha is like the one that I keep telling myself I will play, and then I just don't play it. I'm like, oh, I've got like stuff to do, and I get really intimidated by the thought of like diving into a game that I haven't played
starting
before.
a new one of those.
Yeah, it's like you have to kind of get through that little hand holding phase, and you have to like power through the tutorial until you can get to a point where you know what you're doing and you can just get on with it. It's like, no, you have to dedicate a little bit of time to learning how it works, right? It's like tabletop games as well. Like reading through the rules of a tabletop game for the first time gives me so much stress. I'm just like, let's play this one that we all already know how to play, and we don't have to sit there going like, am I allowed to do this?
That is so real. That's just one of those things where you're trying, like, you're going to start a new game or start a new thing, and you have to like agree with yourself in your head and be like, I'm about to lose the rest of my evening, and that's okay. This might take the entire rest of my evening, and it's the only thing that I do, and I am okay with that. Like, It's the mental state I have to be in.
It is the mental agreement to learn a new game, and I need to agree with myself to learn Roots of Pacha. So I
Mhm.
will do that soon. That and there's this game that came out. I think it came out like at the beginning of the year called Your Only Move is Hustle. And
Oh, yeah.
it's a turn-based fighting game,
Mhm.
which again, very on brand for me as a person. Um so it's like, but it's very like complicated looking on the surface. It's like a ton of different things. It's like 2D as well with little like stick people. But it's very strategic again because it's like turn based. And I think it's like frame by frame turn based. So I think you can pick something that's like a certain amount of frames, and then like your opponent will pick something that's a certain amount of frames, and they'll play out like together, I guess. I forget exactly how it works, but it looks like one of those games that takes like a lot of mental fortitude, and I just don't have that level of intelligence right now to dedicate to a game like that. It's been in my Steam library. I bought it as, like, not long after it came out because it looked so much fun. And I made my friend buy it as well. I was like, buy this game and play it with me. And then we just and then we just didn't find the time to play it. But it looks so good. It looks like a lot of fun. And the concept of a turn-based fighting game really appeals to me as someone who
Mhm.
grew up on like turn-based games almost exclusively.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one that I really, really need to play for sure.
I think for me, it's got to be Shadows of Doubt, which I actually talked about on this podcast a little bit, talked about being excited for at the
Hmm.
beginning of this year. And I'm ashamed. So this falls a little on the higher end. Like I think it has over 3,000 user reviews on Steam. Um, but I have a copy in my library. I own the game. This is a like procedurally generated um, mystery thing. We are going to find clues in this like sort of like noir, like I don't think it's cyberpunky. I think it's just sort of like urban um, neon type deal. But you're like going to find evidence. I think you're trying to catch a serial killer. I
Oh.
believe on our site it's Joshua Wallens that wrote about it,
Hmm.
and was quite into it. I was excited for this game. I thought it looked so cool. It's sitting in my library. I think it might be installed. I think I have it installed on my machine. And as you said, I have not gotten to the mental state in my brain on any particular evening. I've been playing a lot of Diablo, right?
Yes.
Diablo's out right now.
You're
I
Diablo
have
pilled
not.
right now.
Yeah, I have not had an evening where I'm like, okay, sit down and find out what this game is. Like just give away your evening. You're going to have a good time. I promise, little brain. I promise
Hmm.
you're going to love it if you would just shush, sit down and press play. Just play the game. Just play the game.
Yeah. Again, it's that whole thing of let me sit down and learn something new, isn't it? And it's a shame because it keeps stopping me from playing all these fantastic games. And
Yeah.
Shadow of Doubt does look really good. I see Josh called it an endless Deus Ex,
Yes.
which I'm sure to many PC gamer readers sounds like the absolute dream. So
Hmm. Yeah, it's got a lot of like it's got that simulation quality to it, right? Because of the way it generates like clues and all of this stuff that you're going and like sneaking. I think you're like sneaking into people's like houses and around the city and whatnot,
oh.
looking for clues to like figure out where they were and when, stuff like that. So yes, and I guess that's a good. I mean, we've been generally mentioning during this whole conversation, like we've pretty much reviewed or had coverage of some kind for all of these things on the site. So if you want to know more about them, other than
Hmm.
us having read what our coworkers have said and regurgitating it to the best of our ability, you can go read for yourself about, I think, all of these things in some form. Even Garden Galaxy, which doesn't have any of its own coverage, but it is on that list of cozy city builders where I have just like a little paragraph. I actually said more about it here. So maybe not that one, but pretty much everything,
Everything else,
everything
yeah. I
else.
I know I wrote about Rhythm Sprout,
Yeah.
and again we've highlighted some really fun games on the website, especially ones that you might not have heard about. And I know we did 2023 ones, but occasionally we do really cool hidden gem lists for like Steam sales and stuff as
Yes.
well. We normally
This
get some
month
like
there
very
will be a Steam Next Fest coming up, like, and a Steam sale.
yes.
It's summer, so there will be the big Steam sale and there will be the big Next Fest. And I know for sure we are already receiving a little bit of information from people who are going to be in that Next Fest. So I think it's pretty safe to assume you'll be able to see some coverage from us about different demos, things that you maybe would otherwise overlook
Yes.
on the site. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I think that was sort of like the point of this conversation, was that like horrible little brain gremlin feeling of like you don't know when you go into a game. You're like, am I going to regret buying
Yeah.
this, installing this, giving my night to this? Like, is it going to end up disappointing me? And that is the point of these hidden gems, is to tell you these things we have already vetted, we have played. They if they're the kind of thing you're into and you want some more,
Mm-hmm.
you will not regret spending an evening getting to know some of these lesser known things. If you're
Yes.
tired of the big games, if you've heard enough about Diablo,
Yeah.
because
No more
I'm playing
Diablo.
Diablo.
Forget about Diablo. Forget about
Don't forget about
Overwatch.
Diablo, but also right now, forget about Diablo.
Yeah, yeah. Go look at all our cool Diablo stuff, but also forget about Diablo. Forget about Fortnite. Forget about I forget what other big games are out there right now. My brain is mush. Diablo
You
and
like games,
Fortnite.
Molly? Name 5 whole games. Name 5 big games. Do you even
I'm under
like
too much
games?
pressure. Diablo. Did the first 4 Diablos count? Do all 4 Diablos count as 4 video
I've heard
games?
of all 4 Diablos and
Yeah, four
Fortnite and
Diablos and
Overwatch.
Fortnite. That's 5 whole video games right there for you.
I don't know how many video games we did just talk about. It was quite a few,
It was
like
quite a few, yeah.
more than a dozen. You've got options. So,
Go check them out. And if you don't like them, it is not our fault.
but you will though. You will though.
Yeah, it's
Don't
all
undercut our recommendations, Molly.
right. Our recommendations are godlike.
Don't undercut Rhythm Sprout, okay?
Our recommendations are godlike, and if people don't like them, then that's on them.
Yeah.
That's not our fault.
There you go. That's better. That's what I was
Yes,
looking for. Awesome. Well, thanks, Molly, for attempting to pull together some hidden, special, excellent things from this year and like the very tail end of last year
of
for people to
course.
try out. Obviously, we're in big game release territory right now. All of the showcases are happening, all of that stuff. So you might be flooded with the names of big games, big series. But if you want to step back and find something smaller that you can play right now, that is what all of these things have been. So I hope you enjoy and you play one of these, at least one of
Yeah,
these. Go for it.
please do, please do, and let us know. Let us know how it was.
Yeah. Thanks, Molly.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.